I just wanted to give a update on the permaculture project progress, and that this is still the first year and it's about midsummer, and so it's about maybe 6 months into the project. So this perennial plant was already existing, and then just want to give an overview, just kind of give you a walk around tour to see what's going on. And you can see over there's a little bit of weeds. That's wild amaranth growing next to the rosemary I planted. It's holding in there. There's some purslane over in the corner with some other weeds, wild amaranth and native Bermuda grass that was here prior to the project. So yeah, and then kind of stepping backward a little bit, I have 2 hugel pots in those ceramic, the cement pots over there, and on the left is alfalfa and on the right is vetch, and then 2 pots of weeds. And I was trying to grow seeds from there, apricot seeds in there, but they just didn't come out. And here's several other failed seed experiments. I was trying to do gomi berries, carrots, several others, I think goji and something, and unfortunately nothing but weeds grew in those. And so yeah, still working. And I actually purchased 2 Chinese chestnut trees, and so I have 1 in the front and then 2 in the back as spare reserves, and these guys seem to be doing much better in partial shade. The one on the front, you'll see later, is just being cooked by the full day sun. And then kind of a small experiment, this one is by itself and this one is actually with alfalfa. So you can see that just the explosive alfalfa growth, and yeah, I don't know if the tree is doing much better, but yeah. See, and then also another failed seed experiment, just growing nothing but weeds, the wild amaranth. And I've actually had quite a few leaves, but it's quite a potent earthy taste. Again, more weeds, and then this is some sorghum that just got too hot to transplant, so yeah, just continuing to grow it. And then here's some beans that I was trying to grow and transplant, but they were actually pole beans, and I wasn't able to get them in the ground before they started going, so now they're just kind of dying off. So yeah, still learning, and it's been a valuable learning experience. So onto the little garden, and this is the annual garden. It's covered with about 6 to 8 inches of sheet mulch. You can see over here, this is a artichoke plant. It tends to doing pretty well. Carrot, and then I planted just the top of the carrot so that the carrot would actually punch down into the ground and help break up the ground, because the ground here is incredibly hard and tough. It's like a granite breakdown material, and that it's called grus, I believe it is, or grus, and that it's a really hard, pebbly granite type soil. And when I was rototilling this area about 6 inches down, I could actually see sparks every now and then from the tiller blades hitting something hard, and it was 2 hours of labor to really just break up the soil. So hopefully you don't want to do that again, and now use plants and use nature to help me out from there. Again, another carrot. I just have some donated wood pieces to help hold down the straw on the sheet mulching, because the winds actually really pick it up. And then here are 3 corns that actually came back, and that we had a light frost this year, and it actually killed all 6 corns that I had originally planted, along with a lot of other plants that I had planted in here. And so I replanted a couple of them, and 3 of them came back after that bad frost. And as you can see in this guy, the corn is really starting to grow. And there's a little tiny peanut plant right there that held on and making it another carrot plant. And then this really wiry looking guy is daikon radish. And that, yeah, down there at the bottom, he actually was putting out quite a big leaf panel, but now he's kind of like going into the seed phase, I guess, and you can see the little seed pods coming. So yeah, he's doing pretty good. And at the slope, I actually changed the contours so that the water kind of drains down now into the garden bed. So yeah, I mean, right here at this edge, they receive a lot of water, and when the monsoon season started, they started like growing like crazy. So yeah, moving on to another part, still in progress. And that here I'm trying to grow apricot tree, and so that stick in the middle was an apricot tree I purchased from the store. And then if you go around here, I also put some various seedlings in there. And so I believe this is an apricot tree seedling that's coming along, and just various weeds, and again this wild amaranth going to seed. So I'm just letting them go to seed and giving them growth. And yeah, I think they were originally in the soil, and I put sheet mulch on here along with digging a nice deep compost hole and put some compost and loosened up the soil. So we'll see how they grow. And I mean, of course the wild amaranth weed really digs it, and I think that's purslane down there in the corner. So yeah, and then some other projects, just again some donated wood, and so I'm just kind of breaking it up and turning it into wood chips and gonna spread it out later. And then around the base of this tree I just spread out a bunch of straw in order to cool the ground, because sometimes I'll put my hand on the ground where there's no ground cover, and it's hot. It's maybe 50 Celsius or around 150 Fahrenheit or something like that, and it just burns my hand. I have to take it off. But yeah, under the straw it just keeps the ground a little bit cooler. And you can kind of see in the corner over there a Permaculture, experimenting with that. The compost, whatever I can get I try and compost now, and used compost tea the couple days ago. And then again changed the contour of the backyard, and then over here ice plant along with some weeds growing. And here's the rainwater harvesting system. Actually had to drain off a little bit because I'm getting some leaks. So yeah, using the rainwater harvesting system now. And yeah, I'll have to do another video on just the specifics, but yeah, just various leaking points, so little tiny problems trying to solve, but it is working. Alright, now I'll be going around to the front yard. Okay, yeah, and then now we're in the front yard, and Jerusalem artichoke in the pot, and then the weeds, the wild weeds. It was actually prickly lettuce, but I had to just chop it and compost it, because there's a regulation here that if the weeds get to a certain height, you can actually get a fine. So chopped them off, and they're going to be turning into mulch. Same thing here with the sonchus and the prickly lettuce, and the Jerusalem artichoke right there in the pot, holding on. And then this one, the neighbor's pine cones fall into it, so that's going to become a sheet mulch, and Jerusalem artichoke again. Yeah, and more Jerusalem artichokes going down the driveway. Hey, waving to the neighbor. Wild mimosa tree out here. There's again more grass and stuff growing along the edge. Hopefully we're gonna have to change that, so that change the ground cover to something more permaculture. This Chinese chestnut tree barely holding on. It's that full intense sun all day long, and that it goes east all the way to west, and so it gets full sun all the time, and so it's having a hard time struggling. But this one is also a Chinese chestnut tree planted the same way, and it really died back the first year, but then the root ball held in, and then it just exploded. So that's in third year growth, and that was planted before I knew permaculture techniques. And so yeah, luckily there's actually like a built-in swale from the previous owners, and I'm just deciding to use it. In that you can kind of see the ground contour kind of slopes down, and then there's like a little uprise, and then this area will kind of be a just using it as is, doing the least amount of change, a permaculture principle to get maximum yield. So yeah, I want to quickly show you the next project, just trying to rebuild the soil in these little pots. Hopefully eventually plant gomi or goji bushes here, and then I'm going to start a new water harvesting system right there. Gotta avoid the piping for the natural gas. So yeah, and then various weeds and stuff around the other side of the house. So yeah, quite a learning experience. Hoping everyone has the best of luck in their own permaculture projects, and that my little updates will give you some inspiration.